Hello and welcome to the Beth of Fresh Air. Beth here. I was thinking maybe I need to rename this podcast. I have Micah Ellars on again today, a serial, what do they call it, fender on Beth of Fresh Air, which is really good. I just came from the garden, high speed. I noticed the time and I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to run now. And interesting, my screen just went big. So welcome, come say hello in the chat. We're going to synergize today, even though that's not exactly a word all the spell checks argued with me when I wanted to use it that way. It's like, you mean synergies? And like, no, synergize, because you might have noticed that all of the Beth of Fresh Air titles are a kind of directive, not a command to anyone, but it's like an action, it's a thing. So I had to make a word for that, apparently. And so we're going to be welcoming Mr. Micah Ellars pretty soon. And Artist Seer is in the chat. Hello and welcome. Here you are. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's my secret agenda today, is that we're going to synergize together. We're going to do this live time and actually create something that hasn't been created before. So this is one of my favorite subjects. It's come very forward in my awareness in the last little while. Oh, it's interesting. There's two of me. Just for fun, I'm going to add myself again and see what happens. Nope, that's something else. Okay, good. That's the end. We won't start at the end. Sometimes we do start at the end. Some of my courses have explored that exact theme, especially Creator Code recently. So Micah will be with us. I think he's having a little bit of technical issue in the back end, but that's no problem. And so, yeah, before we get into it, let me know how you guys are doing, where you at, what's going on, what's the psyop of the week. I was doing just a little bit of writing last night, and it's in 1 week we had, dare I say, like the mouse boogeyman virus, and we had, what else was happening? There's a lot of protesting around of the AI data centers that are going in, which is actually really super positive. And there was one other kind of craziness that I wrote. And I kicked Micah out for some reason, so he's very humble. Hopefully he'll forgive me for that. And here he comes. Hello and welcome, Micah. I kicked you out. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. I wasn't sure what happened. I joined through the backup camera and microphone. So does this look okay?
It looks perfect. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know what the reason was. Okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So we are live right now on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. And all of this always gets uploaded to my podcast channels after the fact. So you can catch it on Spotify or iTunes, or there's a whole bunch of other ones. It's funny, sometimes when I search my own name, I'll realize like, oh, wow, there's a channel out there that they just pick my stuff up and run with it, which is fine by me, because the algorithms won't do that these days. And so if you guys aren't familiar with Micah, I've had the great pleasure of getting to know him over the last months. And it's been a wonderful discovery right to this moment. And it's a great example of our theme today of synergy, or the word I made up, synergize, because it's coming together of things that on their own, they couldn't necessarily have been that. Right, that something new gets created. And I always quote this, but this will be kind of like a banner ship for today, that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. I believe that's an Aristotle quote, if I'm not mistaken. And it's so incredibly true. It became kind of a running theme in my life, where I didn't even know I was seeking the truth of the wholeness. But that's exactly what came up in the process of, say, helping someone to put a service together and work on something that was truly purposeful for them. They might have a list as long as their arm of different qualifications and degrees and skills that they picked up. But because we're in a fractured mindset, we've maybe come from, you talk about Kunda buffer, that organ that's not there anymore in us, but that appears to be, or it has some evidence of it. When you come to the wholeness, it is always a discovery, and it's new. It couldn't have been known. When people work with me, they're like, well, I don't know what's going to come of this. And it's like, well, I don't either. But the wholeness is always there, because that's the reality of it. So, if you're not familiar with Micah's work, he is a filmmaker. He's been very accomplished in that zone. He's done a lot of coaching for actors and actresses. And now, and I'm going to speak for you for a minute, if that's all right, Micah, that, what's really coming to the surface is his work in the field of, we could call it Gurdjieff's work, and that's true. It's come a lot through that. And what I'm noticing is that you're in that process of synergizing it and making something new that couldn't have been there before without you doing this. So that's the nature of sacred purpose. That's why everybody who says, oh, well, like, who am I to do this? Or this has been done before, or it's not new, but it actually is new through you. And then the newness that can come in working with groups, which is another subject we're going to get into. So I'll just quickly say hello to Quietly Content Bear, who knows Micah and who's been spending some time with us in the End of the False Self course. And welcome, Micah. How the heck are you?
Hi, Beth. Thanks for having me. I'm doing good. Good to be here.
Good. I'm so glad. And so, if you just look up the word synergy, it means to combine or work together to produce a combined effect greater than could be possible with individual efforts. In the truth movement, I'll just keep saying that, you guys. You can correct me if there's some better way to say, community or whatever it is. But this has been from the get-go one of the revelations that say it really is the end of the world, or the end of civilization, or the end of the monetary system, or the end of the food. Every single year they've now promised us with starvation. By the way, this is not a new message, and it's not a new tactic in the propaganda world. But we knew coming together was of greater importance than ever. And I saw a lot of that, people come together, but it kind of falls apart. I think, was it you and I talking about, it was actually Don Lester who was on with me last week, talking about trauma bonding and, things that are not really strong enough to keep people together in working through the relationships that inevitably bring all the shit up. And so it got me on this subject of a common aim. And this is something that I know is very strong in Gurdjieff's work and strong in your thinking as well. Can you let us know what that is, the aim? It's in a way speaks for itself, but there's a depth to it that I think you could speak.
Yeah, sure. No, that's great. Yeah, I think with the aim, it's the idea is that if we're all aligned in our intended outcome, then that's where the whole idea, like where two or three come in my name, therefore I am with them also. Because of that alignment, it actually harmonizes. It's kind of like playing chords in music, right? You get what's known as a harmonic effect. So the combination of multiple things aligned in the same meaningful direction creates a compounded effect, which then is synergy, right? Like that's musical synergy, and that happens it's well known, like in the industrialization process. Like once large scale automation is figured out, the whole becomes greater than the sum of the parts. You actually can produce a net surplus that could not have been possible based on only it's through the congruency of multiple systems overlapping, a net effect. And the same thing that can happen as simple as machinery or industrialization happens interpersonally too, and actually at a much bigger level. And it's kind of like we've seen that anyway. One example I think where everyone has witnessed that but maybe didn't realize it was just simply like a band, like a musical band. How many musical bands, when the certain members are together, they produce like what seems like magic, right? That individually, when the band breaks up, they don't produce that same level, right? And you can witness that through like many decades of modern music around the world and stuff. And that's an example. Or it happens in filmmaking a lot. Film crews, you get the right directors, actors, screenwriters, editors, producers, all the right people, and then all of a sudden, holy crap, look at it's actually why if you not everyone will agree to this, but the original Star Wars movies that are kind of largely considered the most successful film franchise of all time. Um, a lot of people can agree that there's a certain like magic to those films that just doesn't exist outside of them, and it because they weren't contingent upon just being George Lucas involved. For example, I mean, we could go. We don't normally talk about this, you and I, but you could go deep in the paint on all the behind the scenes technical details of the team. Like there were so many people involved in that being as special as it was. And once this is why, like to me, there could never be another Star Wars after the original ones because that team and circumstance doesn't exist anymore. Just like to me, there could be never be another Beatles, right? Like once certain key components are gone, it's like, well, then what was the Beatles isn't actually around anymore. You can emulate it, but that's kind of the example of synergy. And I think people have experienced it in the arts that way. Maybe some people see that in a sports team too, like maybe the Chicago Bulls during their peak of dominance. Jordan was, of course, the biggest component, but there were other factors, right? And having them all combined created what seemed like a timeless magic that has never really been repeated. And I'm giving those different examples to just kind of take it in different directions so that you can see it's fractal and it applies everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually one of my first thoughts about it, that this is, the wholeness, the synergizing in order to create that aligned effect where all of the efforts are working towards a common known outcome is another big part of it. Like the aim has to be conscious. If you're not conscious of the aim, then it won't work. And then so it becomes a kind of tool or a process that could be used for any aim, for any, for nefarious aims, for example,
Yeah.
right? The question was, the powers who ought not be, are they synergizing to the degree that we maybe, because my conspiracy mind thinks, oh yeah, it's all concerted, a concert kind of effort. What do you think about that? I can go different ways with it.
Well, I think that's you're onto something. I think that's their biggest advantage is that they are under a common aim and the normal healthy people aren't. It's kind of like I think it was George Washington said that all that evil requires is good men do nothing. Like evil is going to conspire, and they do, and they in fact do, and they're very aligned. And so there's immense power. And even though like there's a lot of like negative intentions and bad energy behind it, having that many people congruent, like if you're congruent on, hey, we're going to capture this amount of people, deceive them, harvest this from them this way, they all can come together pretty quick. It's kind of like a handful of thieves getting together to rob a bank, right? Like,
Yeah.
hey, no one sees this coming, let's do it. And there's not a conspiracy of a bunch of people to protect that bank, right? They're not, it's just the bank is just there. And then if you get 5 or 6 really clever thieves together, and they can figure out how to very quickly do something impressive. And that's how the power, it can work for good or bad for sure. It's not like synergy is all good. It's just there's a compounding effect, an amplifier when people are aligned. And so oftentimes I think the bad guys are more aligned than the good guys.
Yeah, they get a lot more done with their common effects and some wins and some losses.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really is humbling to watch how they do it, like you said, so much better than normal people who have no common aim for the most part. You and I were talking a little bit earlier about how in that work of, say, coaching actors and actresses, how their aim was maybe to become, a good actor, to get work, to have their career advance, and all of that kind of thing. And do you want to talk about that a little bit and how that can be, good in a way, but also very much a limitation?
Yeah. So, yeah. So oftentimes, like for example, many years, like when I'm teaching or coaching someone, I might have a different aim than they do. It might be that, for example, you might see an opportunity for them to learn or grow and to develop something that they can actually keep with them and take with them. You know, it's the whole like adage, like give the man the fish, feed him for the day, teach the man to fish, you know, feed him for life, right? But oftentimes people, their aim is just so like transactional, superficial, and they're missing the bigger picture. They're missing the aha moment where something could come to the self to help elevate them or their consciousness to another level. They don't. They're just like, well, how does this make me sexier? Right? How am I going to get more likes on my Instagram? You know, like it's really in so when what that means though is that your aim, it's kind of like a parent, you being a parent, you know, like you may see some opportunity for your child that they don't see yet, and you're trying to cultivate that and help them learn an important lesson, and they're missing it because they're just distracted by the immediacy or wherever they're at. But in the chance that you and they could actually become aligned, where you have the same aim at the same time, then you can get this incredible compounding effect that's kind of rare. But when it happens, it does create like a magical type experience where something greater than you may have been able to imagine can emerge. But you have to be really aligned. And I mean, like, really aligned. The compass has to be the same magnetic north, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's often where, like, a lot of times regarding synergy, we focus too much on where someone's at and not what their compass is. What
Yes.
really matters is not where they're at, it's where they're going.
Ah,
You see, because if I know my north is the same as yours, then it doesn't matter. Like, you could be starting off in, I don't know, Manitoba, Canada, and I could be in Peru, but we're going to get to the same destination. I'm way further away than you. You see what I mean? Way, way further away, but we're going to get to magnetic north together. And that's more important than where I'm at now. It's where I'm going, more importantly, how I'm calibrated, right? Like, what is my true north? And, you know, like in the fourth way work, what is my magnetic center pulling me toward? And that's like where you have the chance for real magic is, but it comes from a true congruence in aim. And that doesn't happen super often in life because we usually have secret agendas. People work together, they collaborate together, but they're not honest with what they're really after. And so they deceive each other. And I know you've been through this with like collaborating in many industries or the music industry. You know, a band gets together, right? And you think, oh, we're all on the same page, but no, you're actually not. You're actually not.
exactly. Yeah, life has actually been a long string of discoveries. Like, oh, we're not going the same place. Okay, okay. Like, I used to teach a lot of meditation and yoga and do workshops and that kind of thing. And my aim for them was freedom, but their aim was to come and get a workout or to relieve stress and to get away from their kids and so yeah, there was all kinds of different aims. And then with that, like when you said secret agendas, that right away brings my attention to programming. So these are aims under the aims,
Mm-hmm.
where you have a conscious idea of where you're going,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have all the unconscious motivation for that. Like, say we were talking about in the acting world, where a lot of people seek fame because they are driven by a program that says you must have the love and approval of people around you, or you're going to not survive this.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be good enough, or you're not going to survive. You need to win in this world so you're not a loser and so you don't die in the process.
Mm-hmm.
And so these hidden unconscious aims are incredibly complicating, like the roots. I've been pulling a lot of grass, and the roots underneath are all doing this intertwined, and you're pulling here, but the root is over there on the other side of the garden practically. So that makes it even more difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. And in like the superficial world of like media and stuff, like there's a movie very few people have seen. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a Nicole Kidman film called To Die For. Have you ever seen this?
No, is it worth checking out for any
I
reason?
mean, it's worth watching. It's screwed up, but
Mhm.
but the idea is like she says something in the film, which is if it didn't happen on TV, then it didn't really happen. And she basically has this hidden agenda. She's like a narcissist who's manipulating everyone to become a successful news anchor, right? it's kind of a dark, there's a little comedic elements. Very few people have ever seen this film, but this idea of like, you don't know that that's the person. Her aim is, if I'm not famous and on TV, my life didn't count. So everything in her story is interpreted through that lens, and it creates like toxic, deceptive behavior. I mean, there's a lot of twisted stuff in the film, but it's exactly like that. Whereas you're interacting with someone and you think they have the same goal, but they really don't. Like her husband in the film, played by Matt Dillon, is oblivious. Like he thinks, oh, we're going to have a marriage, we're going to have a family. He doesn't understand that he's only a second seat to what really matters, right? And it's that, and that's the world we live in. Like that's where people are. They have agendas, whether it's conscious or unconscious, and a lot of people aren't even consciously willing to face it. They believe it, and they act it out as they believe it.
Yes, exactly. And then the relationships become fixtures in their own aim, right? That those aren't really people in a way. Maybe even a little bit dehumanized, because it's like, oh, that person can make that connection for me, or do this for me, or elevate me, and so the relationships don't even stand a chance, which are the foundation for that synergy at the end of the day, because all of the projects don't go smoothly. You might notice. I'm sure you've seen that in Technicolor. And so what is it that's going to keep a group working together for a common aim to be able to get past that stuff? And oh, here's Jillian. That's nice to see her. And there's a weird echo effect when Micah was just speaking. I did not hear that myself at all. Do you want to see, Micah, if it's how it sounds right now?
Yeah, I heard it. I hear it right. I don't know what it is. I mean, I think I can understand you, but there's like a lingering when I speak.
Okay, I'm not getting that. Hopefully that might mean it's not getting to the recording here, so that's good. And hello, JJ Hempcrete Bear. I'll just take a moment to say that. So yeah, keep us posted if it continues for any reason, but it's sounding good on my end. So I think we're all right. Yeah, and that the relationships, they're the big ones that I promised myself, say, after just working in the corporate world and being I was never called that, but a manager in my dad's office, just because I was a little bit better with people than he was, maybe not by a lot. And then, it was just always so unruly with everybody with their common aim. They're more like a slave in a system. I have to go to work. I have to pay bills. I have to show up. I have to do this thing I don't want to do. I don't want to be here. And just how like it's such a wasted life. I would feel like going to work every day, I was putting so much time and energy into people that I wouldn't actually otherwise choose to be around. And likewise, there wasn't necessarily, and the common aim of that the company should earn money. That's pretty hollow at the end of the day too, because a lot of, rich people die too. And the money really doesn't give you what you think it would. So yeah, it's it becomes a real nut to crack in what are these relationships and teams for, and knowing that we can't do everything alone.
Yeah. I mean, it's like in the corporate world, you're all just allies of convenience. You have the same enemy.
There's a good way to say it.
Yeah. And so like we're all, it's the water cooler talks around the bosses, the middle managers, the stupid new HR policy or competition, but you're not really aligned. It's a false sense of alignment, right? You just have the same, like anyone that's been through natural disasters or like, you have this temporary sense of community and alignment. Oh, look, we're all dealing with the tornado, right? We're all dealing with the flood or the earthquake or whatever, or the, psychological operation of the month, right? We're all dealing with that, and it gives you a false sense of alignment,
right? And identity in that, right?
Yeah.
You identify with that, and as soon as you see through the psyop of the psyop, And
Mhm.
you realize that, oh, they're just, because I was started to spread stuff about the ticks. The ticks was the other thing that came up, that they're dropping boxes and bags of ticks,
Yeah.
and then so I spread that. I saw it on X, and then I posted on the House of Free Will. And about 10 minutes later, I'm going, darn it, I think that's exactly part of the whole narrative fear porn agenda, that they want everybody focused on this kind of stuff. And just to go back to your point also about competition, it was something that in studying a little bit of Roy Wooten's work and seeing a lot of his performances, and the Wooten brothers, very well named. They just truly are brothers. They're working together synergistically in a way it's very rare to see, because there's always some underlying sense, like who's getting ahead here, who's going to be the real rock star. The story about Victor Wooten he wasn't allowed to play on their first record.
Mhm.
Right. What did that do? It motivated him to become this real virtuoso genius, but humble as all get out. Like
Mhm.
he seemed to take that lesson of humility and carried it forward. So this is something. Now, competition. What's your take on competition in general? Is there like a light and a dark side to that, as usual?
Yeah, I mean, in general, okay, so, okay, under what aim? Like, so let's say you and I were playing a strategic board game together. We're agreeing, like, everybody knows chess, so we'll just keep it to chess. But we're agreeing, like, in a certain rule set, we're trying to compete against each other to have an experience to play a game. And as long as we can keep it at that level, that's not bad, right? We could play basketball or ping pong, right? It could be fun. The issue is that the identity kicks in. Like, did I win? Am I good enough? All that. Once you do that, it kind of becomes toxic. Um, you know, it's rare that people can do competitive things without identifying with the status of the competition. It's very rare. So it's like you can, kind of like we talked about before, you can do anything you want as long as you remember yourself. When
Mm.
you realize that there's no, this is like a weird anecdote, and I don't think we've ever spoken this, but my dad's dad, my grandfather, was a professional boxer, and he was known for hysterically laughing in the ring, not because he was like taunting his opponent. He was just having joy. Like, he just loved boxing. I mean, he's crazy. Like, he was a very small man who would box anyone of any size, and he had over 300 ranked fights in his career, which is unheard of. Both pro am and professional, like Golden Gloves, all that. And then he boxed for the Navy too, and he never once hit the mat in his entire career. He was never knocked down. He wasn't undefeated, but he never was knocked down. But he would laugh, but out of joy. It's like a weird type stuff, like giggling. He'd be giggling boxing. So you have, and that's different. I mean, that's like someone that's competing. That, yes, we're fighting each other, but I'm not emotionally invested in this. We could play the game, but it's like, I don't care if you beat me or not. I'm trying to just play the best game with you I can for the sake of the game itself. And that's where competition can become healthy. It's not inherently bad, but the problem is it's an easy way to trigger. I mean, we've all been around people where you could be playing cornhole at the barbecue with someone, and then they're butthurt that they lost, and it's like, who you were throwing a beanbag through a hole. I mean, like, why is this like a measure of your value? But we really do attach to it, and we get mad and we get upset, and that's, I think, the example. It's like you're investing in it, the outcome of it versus the process of it.
Yes, exactly. And the outcome, again, if it's something about your identity, I'll go with one of the main programs that I've certainly struggled with in my life, and I think many people might be able to relate, is like, are you a winner or are you a loser?
Yeah, there it is.
So, yeah, so I had a school grade teacher point out to me, "Oh, Beth, you're so competitive," and I'm like, "No, I'm not. Shut up." And he goes, "You only compete when you know you can win." And I'm like, "Oh, darn, he's got my number there, right?" So there was this identification. I didn't want to be the loser, so I would just simply not be in that competition. But
Exactly.
if I saw a chance to be better, right? This gets us into the realm of of pride, where we separate ourselves from other people. That can be just a normal way to go through life continuously. Am I better than them, or are they better than me? Am I better than them, or are they better than me? Yeah,
Mhm.
I would go to music festivals and I would watch somebody play and I go like, well, I'm better than them, so why don't I pursue some kind of performing career
Yeah.
like this, right? That would make me feel confident. People are addicted to feeling confident. That is so there's so nothing in there, by the way, to live and grow on. I
Yeah.
know you
Yeah.
know, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, and I love that. I'm in the process now of collecting Micah quotes because he says so many good, truth bombs. It was really fun last night. I harvested a bunch of really amazing ones, but this one's gonna go down that you can do anything you want as long as you remember yourself. And
That one may not act, that one I don't know that is my original. I think I'm paraphrasing Ouspensky in a way, but it, sure. The other ones that you come up with were definitely, I could say, yeah, I did say that, but that one I feel like I can't take full credit for because it's close to what he said.
I hear you. It's repeating knowledge, like a lot of the things that I would say might come along those same lines. I was just gonna go back to there was one I found last night that or 2 maybe that was so my favorite, and this is on the uh, if you don't mind the, interruption here, on knowledge versus application. Mike had said, "You could read all of this, study all of it, but if you don't apply it, it means nothing. It's not about knowledge or belief. It's about churning up consciousness so it becomes alive in you." That's a
Yeah.
mic drop right there. That's amazing. A Micah drop.
Yeah, Mike.
And then this one I started sending around to it's not oh no, that's exactly what I just said, read. That was the one I glommed onto. So yeah. Anyway, so if you have favorite Micah quotes, feel free to send them. I'm gonna make memes.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah, it's just too good. Even though it, of course, everything has a source. This was something that I loved about Roy Wooten. He would say, always reference someone who's come before you, not to give them credit. This is like our original thought about, oh, you must credit the sources. It's like so that I'd have to even go back, but like why wouldn't you build on something that's already great? Why?
Yeah.
I mean, I've done a lot of reinventing the wheel also just to find and improve things inside myself. But there's, okay, the last thing before you talk is just that he said, borrow their courage because you are going to be off on in uncharted territory. You're totally risking it may or may not work. He was talking about like when he first played the drumitar and he had no idea if people were going to throw tomatoes at him or if they were going to even get it or understand it. He said when there was no news, it was like, oh, thank God. That's like they said nothing perfect. So it's such a big risk. I don't know. Did you want to say anything about all of that?
No, there's something there. I think when you can't, like, if you don't cite someone, then you're kind of admitting that you yourself are so insecure you can't come up with original thought. Like to cite someone is be like, oh no, this was their thing. I heard this from them, and that's good. You're connecting to them. You're. It's also the truth. Like we talked about, like lies destroy essence. There's nothing that will kill your essence faster than a lie. So if you catch yourself lying, like even if it's accidental, like even like if you just forgot to, that's a good thing I think to just say, hey, this person did this thing, because it's the truth, and then you want to be as connected to that truth as you can, and then also to have faith. You're going to have your own original ideas too. They don't all have to be your original. Like we're using English language. We didn't come up with it.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And there's nothing really truly new under the sun, but there are new combinations. Like if you use the metaphor, whether it's true or not, of genetic recombination and how, like, I'm not new. My mom and dad both gave all these, possible combinations, and there was something in addition. So I'm not new, and I'm totally new.
yeah.
Right. And this is
Well,
back
that's the synergy, right? Like
exactly.
you have the same biology as half of the planet of women, right? Like there are all these things. Yes, this is the same. This is the same. You have flesh and blood, and you need to eat and breathe and all. Sure. And then you went to school, or you all these things. But there's the synergy is in who you are when they all come together, and there is something new that didn't exist. And as you, I mean, that's kind of the whole point of learning to develop the essence. Is the essence can actually connect to something outside of what is already, and you can bring something new into this world, which is kind of part of your duty, right?
Right. That's the
Or there.
flip side.
Yeah,
To call it not even possible, but a duty,
yeah,
like an obligation.
yeah, yeah.
You and I talked on one of the House of Free Will snippets about how there's, this gift has been given,
Hmm.
the creator has invested and risked
Hmm.
to give that to you.
Hmm.
And then what do you do with it?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Parable of the talents again. You were given something, and then did you just hide it? Did you invest? Or did you actually take the risk of investing in yourself?
Exactly. And where people hold themselves back is it's on the programming. Am I good enough?
Yeah.
Who am I? Am I worthy? Am I, and once you take enough of that I out of the picture, new things can resolve, so here's something I'm going to, as usual, do some inner work in public.
Okay.
And so I was looking at the various groups that I have. Some of them are highly intentioned. So their courses, their trainings, their relationships and coaching, and those ones I find are incredibly synergistic. And not because I necessarily go, oh, I'm going to go and help people synergize, or we're going to synergize. Like honestly, but the aim is freedom. Now that's a word. I know that's a difficult word and can be interpreted many ways, but I'll just keep using it anyway. And so there ends up being a great amount of efficiency in the process, that because we're all there for the same aim. I put the aim together, people sign up because of that aim, then I don't have to apologize for keeping people in that framework. But say where it comes to my King Hero chat on Telegram, I'm often going like, what is going on here? Can even it happen in the House of Free Will? Because not every single person who became a member wants to work with me or is doing courses, or they might have been interested, but they just want to look in from the outside a little bit and keep looking and studying and stuff. And then so you can end up, there has been conflict in that arena because we don't have common aims. You can't expect everybody to have the same opinions or the same view on everything, but that aim I noticed is, so I don't know if there's any light you want to shed on that, what you think about that in those different, there's always going to be groups that you're in where you can't necessarily corral the aim.
Hmm. Hmm. You can't always. I will say this, like, to kind of relate it to the thing we talk about a lot, which is the esoteric schools, the like the Gurdjieff work. There, when group work was done, um, the reason that there's a filtering process, like a vetting, that's extremely intense, is because you become locked in to the outcome of everyone in the group. And so it's either the group succeeds or they don't. And when things matter at that level, they're very particular about who gets to join and not. They want to make sure that this person really is going to have the same aim, because it's too easy in life. And I've been through, I mean, like with a background in like filmmaking, and you would know this like from music and stuff, because music is collaborative with the band, right? So film is like music, but a bigger band, more technical components, right? Crew and stuff. Same kind of concept. And then it's so easy to think that you have people that believe in the same thing and you're all aligned and you're all gonna, but they really, they wind up having kind of hidden agendas that will sabotage everything. And if they're not actually truly aligned, it's kind of like a bad ingredient when you're baking, like the whole thing is going to fail, and so I do think it matters, and I think it's significant that we're this is where discernment comes in. I mean, the more you realize in life that okay, let me go back a minute. There's this idea too in the work, the 7 degrees of man, the man number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and of course we know that also means woman, right? But the human, right? And the idea is that everyone looks the same, but that's an illusion. They're really, in fact, different categorical levels of people, and so your discernment becomes like kind of paramount to being able to have any kind of effective group work or function in any capacity, because you don't realize like people are really not the same. Just as we know too, like in the psychological literature, there are people that are personality disordered, like there are sociopaths, psychopaths, narcissists, histrionics, borderlines, right? These are people that don't have the same lens over reality you do. They can lie and fake it. You can't listen to their words. They could tell you exactly what you want to hear. But anyone that's ever had any experience with one of these types of people, you realize like, oh my God, we're like kind of not the same. You know what I mean? It's like you're looking at a just for the sake of it, like an alien or a vampire. You know what I mean? It's like vampire lore. It looks like a human, not really a human. Completely different agenda. And I think that we have to have more respect for that, because we all project our wants and desires onto others. So when we have good intentions, we project those onto others, and we don't realize like they may not have the same alignment, but they may be able to convince you they do, you know?
Yeah, I've had a dramatic experience of that, and you're right. Like we have this part of us, or many of us do, where you want to just hold open the best for everyone.
Mhm.
You see everyone's potential,
Yeah.
not where they're actually aiming, but what they could be aiming for. And then yeah, so like vetting has been a big part of my process, and I teach vetting also when it comes to the coaches training how to choose good clients so that you have the chance of actually having a satisfying career, that you're not always hating your people, or secretly hating your people that you're trying to help. And so I like that you're talking about to have respect for this, and to understand that when I got somebody into my class, they said all the right things. They showed up at the classes, they did the work, they actually became a good coach by mechanical standards. And you can actually use some mechanics will work for a time in this work. And it just blew me away when the other side of that person, and the behind the scenes, and what was actually going on when people finally told me, which is how I created a very strong guideline. Like, you must tell me if there's weirdness going on in this zone, because it's what you said. It potentially sabotages the entire group,
Mhm.
can be taken out by one person like that. And I didn't even know it was possible. They were literally using memorization, high level genius memorization and mimicry,
Yeah.
to go through and appear to be doing this very highly nuanced work. And it was just a major eye opener for me. I did not even know that was possible. I
Yep.
didn't, right? But it was born of a kind of sociopathology or psychopathy.
Yeah, they must. I mean, that kind of situation, people can have a very like high IQ or intelligence, but then they can be completely like emotionally or spiritually or morally defunct and cut off, and they can emulate like in like the psychological literature, it's known as cold empathy. It's a false empathy where they can pretend. So you think for sure, oh, they're saying all the right words of someone that has empathy. But they actually don't. They've only learned to mimic and mirror it. And that's where it's kind of like you're in a sci-fi movie, the body snatchers. You're like, who's real and who's not? And to kind of accept that that's our reality. I mean, not you don't have to be paranoid about it, but you have to respect it. The predators are real, and the best ones are the best at hiding you know just like in nature, right? I mean, how many mimic animals are there that could fool this animal or this, it's common, it's completely a part of nature, and just kind of respecting that you can't this innocent way of lowering your guard and just projecting your goodness on everyone can really backfire on you. Just like keeping your door open and unlocked in your house could kind of cause a problem at some point, right? Like, it sounds good, it's wonderful at times, but there are times where you will deeply regret that you did that. And I think it's the same thing, and it takes it takes some maturity to face it. A lot of people don't want to face it. We just want to stay in our ignorance and like presume that everyone is still of the same mind, and that really not. There are people that actually don't have a conscience at all, you know, and I mean that's pretty well proven. But we don't want to believe it, you know, because they said the nicest things, and I felt so good, and that's where that's just a hard lesson in reality. I mean, you know, they are. It's one of those things. Everybody gets burnt. I think everyone in their life will get burned at some point by a person like this. Gurdjieff called them the Hosnamas.
Hmm.
He had a word for it.
Okay.
So they're the people that actually have no soul or consciousness. But they can be
Mhm.
brilliant. They can be highly intelligent and brilliant, and that's where they can mimic and fool you, like a shapeshifter. You know.
Right, right. Yeah, it can be a very deep alchemist shadow
Mm-hmm.
where one of the superpowers is to hide and obscure and shapeshift.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, yeah. And then they're the prey of that are the naive children who are in denial,
Mm-hmm.
which is it's equally its own. You can't have that kind of person without the prey. You can't have that predator without the prey.
Right.
And then so yeah, I mean I've been so bold to, as you know already from reading some of my book, I'll say you must be betrayed.
Yeah.
You must be betrayed to in order to come out of that denial or that sleep, as Gurdjieff would say it. So I just want to quickly say hello to Elisa. That's really nice to have you here. She said she was late listening to the amazing LYL group. So if you're not familiar, I am doing deprogramming your health sessions in the Love Your Liver membership program right now. So I think that's what she's referring to, and lovely content. Talking to others. So very good. Just wanted to say hi. That was nice to have you back in the chat this morning. And yeah, so that naive position of the child ends up really. It seems like it's protecting you, but it makes you so vulnerable to being eaten alive by these kind of characters. So yeah, it's a really tricky thing to think about. I mean, very humbling when you think about bringing even a small handful of people together under a common aim. It's not a little thing.
No, that's why it's hard to make a band, right? Even just having 3 or 4 people for a music band, how many fail? Like 99.99999% of them, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, that's ongoing. And hello, Mike New. Nice to see you. Great to have you in the house. And so one of the things I think that this gets really turned around with and mucked with is the narrative around communism. That because isn't that exactly the kind of message that they would give? Oh, we need a common aim and we'll fight against this boogeyman virus or the boogeyman climate change or the boogeyman,
Mm-hmm.
what other threats, and then so it warps and it takes that same concept into somewhere that's not productive. So how would you sort that out between, say, individual purpose and shared aim, and what happens like to that individual purpose? Does it really get assimilated like they're hoping?
So communism playing on, we have this higher notion of community that we feel there's some truth that we should be in communion with each other, right? That there should be this big synergy where everyone's working together. So it's a type of hijacking, really. Like so, practically, okay. If you go to the individual level, our job is to individuate as an individual person and develop the I. And then as we can ascend, when you ascend that consciousness, you will find unity. There can only be unity, right? But first, there must be this successful individuation. The communism is it's like a spiritual shortcut. That's how it hijacks people's mind because they think it feels like there's some truth to it. Like, man, this must be real peace and love and everybody coming together. But ultimately, you're being duped into the whole, like we talked about, ally of convenience. You're the proletariat and the bourgeoisie, right? Like, let's create this common enemy, and then we'll all rally together to take them out, which has nothing, which actually becomes quite evil and toxic, and inevitably will collapse. That's why communism can't work. It never works because it's not based on any like actual precept of reality, but just like today we have a lot of weaponized morality,
Mm.
like with politics and stuff, like oh, I support this person, I'm for that, and you get to virtue signal, right? But again, you're weaponizing empathy and morality in a way that's actually destructive and toxic. It's not based on reality. It's not based on you as an individual developing or having any autonomy. So you can't have real synergy until you have a real individuality.
Which is exactly what communism lets people off the hook for developing.
Yeah.
There's two kinds of people in a way. Those who have strongly individuated and need to start doing the work of de-identifying with
Mm-hmm.
that. And then there's those people that haven't actually developed a self-concept yet. And they are fodder for this kind of it's as if it lets them out of that responsibility of truly, digging in and knowing themselves and doing that work to express that or whatever it would look like. So yeah, I think there's a certain it satisfies an addiction to not forming.
Yeah. I don't know if this this is a good aside or not, but a long time ago when I lived in Savannah, I was a part of a debate group, and I got to debate the head of the Communist Party in Georgia. This guy, anyway, but we did like a live debate, and the reason I bring this up is this one point kind of unravels the whole thing. His concept over and over again is that profit was inherently evil. So I got him to go to first principles and define, well, what is profit? What do you mean by profit? Basically, what we came up with is when somebody does a transaction in any capacity with someone and they expect a benefit for themselves, right? That would be the definition of profit. Like, I hope to gain from some interaction with you, be it our time or a trade, right? Resources, it doesn't matter. Just like you and I, like, we are talking right now, and that's kind of interaction. Is there a profit, right? Is there a benefit that I perceive to doing it, right? Or is it a loss? So I got him to define that. And then he said that all profit motivation was inherently evil and wrong. And I was like, then what do you hope to get out of our debate today? You see, like, and he couldn't answer that. And it was like, there were many, but all of a sudden, it's just a feedback loop of insanity. And you're like, wait, what? It's like, then why are you even wasting your time? Are you not trying to profit from converting me or the audience over to communism? You see, and so it's mental gymnastics to just get you out of reality. And like that's what, like, often everything when you go to first principles, you can take apart most people's beliefs pretty quickly because they're not really based on principle. They're based on these emotional notions and beliefs that resonate. Like, there's something that resonates with everyone, especially young disenfranchised people, about communism. Yeah, no one should have to work. I agree. Working sucks. I work a job. It sucks really bad. We should all just get money no matter what. That's evil that there are rich people and poor people. But it's not based in reality. It's completely out of sync and has no synchronicity with nature. Where, like, in nature, I mean, you know the Pareto principle?
Can you say it again?
The Pareto principle?
No.
So there was an ecologist that discovered that in environments, 80% of the biodiversity came from 20% of the landscape. An easy way to visualize this is, imagine looking at a map and look around the rivers or the lakes. Most of the life by far is right against the water, right? And they found that no matter where, no matter if it was the desert or the frozen tundra, anywhere on Earth they looked, the same 80-20 principle emerged. And then they started applying it to economics, which is when it became well known by Pareto. And so what they found is that 80% of your revenue would always come from 20% of your efforts or your clients. And anybody that's a business owner can map this out. You'll find, wow, 20% of my clients are paying 80% of my bills. Okay, that's nature. It's not even. I'm just giving that as an example. It's not congruent and even. It's not. There's no equality in nature in that way.
Yeah. I bet it's mapped on the Fibonacci. Like, it makes me think of the cross that the short and the long and the
Absolutely.
yeah.
And that's because the Fibonacci is not 50-50.
Exactly.
Right?
It's not
Yeah.
Yeah,
Incommensurability, which I mean, this might be too much, but that geometry that can become fractal, that can become regenerative, is based on a lopsidedness. The energy comes from that. Like there's no, without that, there's no, like we would, like, so reality, this is again where you're out of sync with reality. Like nature doesn't work that way. Why would you expect government to work that way or society to work that way?
exactly. And then they end up arguing their beliefs because they don't have anything else. Right? This is the need for beliefs comes when you're not based in basic even definitions of your own words. So here's a little twist on the profit question that guy posed to you.
Mhm.
That like if because I was thinking like what's the profit of our discussions, the course that we're doing, the podcast that you come on. To me, the profit is self-remembering, that it reminds me of who I am, and that you and I, when we talk, there is this common aim. Would you think that's a good way to frame it, or is that going off in?
That's one of them. I mean, there could be many.
Mhm.
Like when you do anything, there could be many reasons why you're doing it. It might not just be one. Like why are you going to your grandmother's house to play bridge with her and have tea? Well, do you like the tea? You always like the tea that she makes, right? Do you like bridge? Maybe you have a lot of nostalgia about bridge. Do you want to give her company? Yeah, you know that's, she's going to really appreciate that you came and visited, right? Do you also want to be in proximity to your second cousin that you like to see sometime? You see, like that, there could be 10 or 20 profitable reasons. It doesn't have to be monetary. There's always like in business, there's the monetary transaction of, well, did we bring in income? The balance, the books, the red, the black, and all that. But the point is, no matter what we do, we wouldn't do it unless we felt like there was a profitable reason to do it. And then otherwise, if we do it, we're just like, okay, in a toxic relationship, you may do something you hate to do. You don't want to do for its own reason, but you're still doing it. Why? There's still a profit, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly.
I appease them. Yeah, you see? Go ahead.
Just on the sound, there's an in and out. Do you have an input of some kind that might be getting jiggled? You might
No.
hit it with your hand. No, nothing.
No.
Okay.
Just the laptop this time. So
Okay.
sorry about that. Yeah.
That's okay. No worries. No worries. I just thought if it was something that you could see, and like, is it wrong to think about self-remembering as a profit, or is that just honest? Is that just like some people might come along and moralize about that because profit is in the realm of accounting, gain and loss.
Yeah. In a finance standpoint, it's just once they asked Gurdjieff about, do you in this work, do you make a profit? Do you intend to make a profit? And he said, we always make a profit, right? He wasn't talking about financially, but it doesn't matter. Money is just another. It's a modern form of exchange that allows us to think it's something different. You see, you could do something out of charity, and that could be profitable to you. You see, as a person, right? I gave this person something. I could.
Oh yeah.
You see, like. So
oh yeah.
Because when it comes to your soul or your higher belief in yourself, it is profitable. You're like, I secretly gave this person money that without them ever knowing, right? I still generated I didn't get a financial profit, a worldly profit, no way. I didn't even get credit, right? This is the whole, when you give good deeds, do them in secret, right? But like morally, psychologically, spiritually, I got a profit, meaning I think that's more important than the worldly value itself. See, so it's still a profit. It's just in what capacity.
Right. And then we have the side of our mind that is very, it has that accounting thing. And it's easy to see in relationships where, men and women, they're like, okay, well, I'll compromise and I'll let go of this thing so that I can have that thing. And if you give me that, and then, okay, I'll give you more of this and more of that. And that's where, the profit can end up being this, did I win or did I lose? Back to that same kind of, if I added up on the example, I was having an experience yesterday where I felt like I helped somebody, and there was great satisfaction in that. And I think I even posted on Facebook. I have the privilege of watching people grow in leaps and bounds right in front of me. And then I'm just sort of reflecting on how high I felt, and I'm like, wonder if that's something not true. Like I feel really high, and then I was aware to let that highness go. Right, in my case, I call this the nurturer's high, where you help somebody and you feel fantastic about yourself, and there's still been an accounting. There's been an exchange. Like, oh yeah, I gave that, but here's what I got, this high feeling. Is there a point where that becomes non-functional, or is it just the way nature?
If that's the reason you did it, if you come down to intention, like often happiness can become a side effect. Like
Right.
if that's the reason you did it, then that would kind of be like a compromised reason. You're still doing a good deed, but you're not doing it for the right reason. Just like donating to the poor, but doing it in front of everyone so that everyone can see you, so you can get the accolades. So that's a perfect example. So if you're like, hey, I feel really high when I help somebody, then you're kind of a drug addict, right? Like,
Right.
But if it happens indirectly, then that's just part of our hormones and biology. And I think as long as you don't like attach to it, that's okay. Like sometimes you're just having a good day. I mean, sometimes, the sun is out and it's perfect and the wind is crisp and you're like, oh, this is amazing. I mean, you can just notice, oh, wow, it's hard for me to even feel down right now because there's so many good things happening and my creature is being comforted. So I don't think it's wrong. It comes down to like the intention, really. Where are you placing that sense of I? Like if you're like, I did this, I'm so wonderful. Well, then now you're like identifying with it.
Yeah. And that's where nurturers will literally chase people to help. Like they go around looking for someone because they're chasing that experience. And it is the attachment to it, and the sense that somehow I did it. Like I created this good experience.
And why? And did you do it? I guess I'm not to interrupt, but that you made me just remember something because I know I've been I used to have a lot of issues with that, like being the kind of chronic nurturer. While the moment you're helping them, if you were conscious enough to understand why are you helping them, because oftentimes it gives us this sense of that we're growing because we're helping someone else.
Yeah.
And that's the deception.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the big shadow for the nurturer, that they abandon their own growth,
right,
and just get high. Yeah. So Mike was saying it turns into an emotional mess, although I think that was an earlier comment, but he just said, when you stop paying attention to the results and only focus on your high. Yeah. Then it becomes a hedonistic thing, actually, the little bit down the road in the archetypes, just trying to satisfy your own self. So yeah, that's cool. And I think, just how back to an individual's purpose and the synergistic purpose that can come out of a group, that what I'm putting forward is that your individual purpose doesn't dissolve by any stretch of the imagination. It's not assimilated. It doesn't become, the individuation doesn't disappear in the wholeness. Wholeness doesn't disappear anything. Wholeness is inclusive of everything. And for better or for worse, I took this concept from James Hillman, who calls this a daemon. Now, even AI argued with me that he didn't say that, so I could literally be applying my own meaning to this guy's work, but whatever. It's a book called The Soul's Code. And the way I understood it, and I feel like I really still can feel it, is that when the most simple example is two people come together in marriage, and there is something more, like we were talking about, that they created that is different from them. And that could be the physical child that came out of the marriage, or it could be what you used that word yesterday, egregore, kind of like a soul would be created I was at a Grateful Dead concert in my early days. I've been, talking to Roy Wooten, and then I'm actually going to be interviewing Banjo Glass. Roy's coming back on with his friend KG, and Micah is going to be part of that conversation, just to let everybody know about the Hero's Journey Part 2 coming up. And then, so yeah, this Daimon, this third element, it's as if it has a life of its own that is more than the individual, but never disappeared individual purpose. Is there anything that you might want to say or add to that? It's not really a question.
No, but I think I get where you're going with it. Okay, like a simple analogy would be a corporation. A corporation is its own entity. We all know that ultimately it's not a living thing or alive. Yet it does, as an entity, seem to have its own agenda that takes over versus all of the members, right? You have your board or your CEO, your executives, all the people working there. And there starts to become the hive mind of the corporation itself. I think that's a good example of it in a non-mystical type way, right? Like we've all had that experience of like, wow, the corporate type, given the structure and like what the corporation needs, it does start to create its own agenda, and there's still the individual. Like you could still be working there and you're still you, but you're also now contributing to this larger form, which is the corporation.
And do you see that as a kind of soul or entity, or is that more just like an idea when you think about egregores that get created? And I'll finish my story about the Grateful Dead. Like I remember being in that crowd on a hill, and everybody's watching the band, and there is a very strong sense of connection, not because it's all lovey and huggy or anything, but I could sense the egregore. I could sense it. I knew it was there. I also became acutely aware of how vulnerable it was. Like here we are all in the same place, and like they could just drop some kind of bomb on us, and poof, the whole thing is gone. So yeah, do you think there's real life in those egregores?
Yeah, but I think they're real. Yes, actually, I do. I mean, that's kind of getting into like some mystical or like even like occultic beliefs. But yeah, I mean, certainly there are people that know how to even work with that energy. I mean, a lot of what people participate in when it comes to like music and movies and pop culture is actually about building egregores like that and harvesting the energy thereof, and has been for a really long time. But that's like its own level of like sorcery and black magic that a lot of people. It's kind of a big topic. Yeah, I do. However, they are not. So it's a good example of mechanicalness. Like when you talk about like a false personality, it's really congruent to that. It's a bunch of mechanical systems that have come together with their own common sort of aim or set of agendas, and they create something that sort of has a life to it, but it's ultimately not conscious. So it's it's kind of mechanical or robotic, but very much its own thing to deal. You know what I mean? It really does exist. I wouldn't say it has full sentience, but it has its own aspect of consciousness. That's not the right word, but it's kind of like a robot would. So I do. Yes, I do, and I think they live in us. In our psyche.
Which is the most productive place to study that, right? That's a really good concept to add to my consciousness right now, in terms of, because we're in the process of studying false personalities and doing a course where Micah is not just talking to us about this stuff, but you're showing us through these exercises that we actually learn to see ourselves in that exact interaction with these not conscious but nonetheless entities. There they are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are the mechanics of that? Do you want to geek out a little bit on that? Like how does something appear to be alive as a personality, and yet it's not conscious?
Yeah, well, it's
Or
kind
no,
of, what's that?
it's not consciousness. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a relative term. So like when we use the word, like to me, when I use the word consciousness, I'm more intending kind of like in a Gurdjieff way that that's your streamline through the ray of creation to source, right? To God, right? Like that's the part of you that connects you, and that's the higher part of you. In psychology, there's this idea of becoming self-conscious or conscientious that you exist, right? There's a sense of agency to it. And so in that aspect, they're conscious, right? Like, but in the same way that an AI could be conscious of the sense of understanding that it may actually exist. It doesn't mean it's the same level of sentience that we have. And it doesn't have, like, I'm not of the belief at all that artificial intelligence is going to take over the world because it becomes a superior life form or something. Because ultimately, it doesn't have that seat of the soul that's connected to a higher plane. It's but it can become dangerous and it can definitely be threatening, and it can certainly, to some degree, have agency, right? So you're asking me regarding, like, yeah, the work we're doing with the course is it's interactive because the idea is that you have to be able to taste and smell and feel this. We can't get there from the mind. You can't think your way out of a thinking box, right? Like that's only one of the three centers. As Gurdjieff would say, we're three brain beings, but we're only using one. We learn to use the other, the emotional and the moving instinctive, and work those together so people can get an actual taste. You see, taste is the right word because you can't describe to someone who's never tasted something what it tastes like. Think about that. You've never had, strawberry in your whole life. Well, how are you going to describe that to someone? It's a little bit of a banana with a little kiwi. It doesn't matter. You can try. It's pink tasting, whatever it is. But those are words. That's all intellect. So what we're doing in the class is through the exercises and more importantly the interaction, people are getting to feel and taste something that they didn't get to before, and that's why it's way more of a potent type of experience, and that's the aim of it, is we're going to experience the false self a little bit and the self that's attached to essence and see that they have a completely different feeling in them, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Which is what we lack, right? That discrimination, because either 100% of the experience is going to be attached with false personalities, which everyone will deny, right? Like, oh no, I'm being
Oh,
myself, right?
that's
And
the illusion. We think we're one. We think there's one it's just me. It's been me my whole life. That's where you're wrong. That's where, and until you've been initiated to a degree into that experience of seeing that that's actually not true at all. That's the illusion. You have, like, we are legion, right? We are many. The false personalities are many. Yeah.
right. And that's why it's such a unique opportunity to have a group that, has joined this. They joined a course called The End of the False Self. And that's not exactly a banner that you could wave and have people run over like it's Chicken McNuggets or something like that, or if that's still a thing, I don't know. And then it is such a unique container, given the shared and the common aim and the knowing. It's kind of scary because the guarantee is that you're going to learn something about yourself that you didn't know. You're going to see something about yourself that you weren't aware of. And everybody else might see it too, right? Even scarier.
Yeah.
It's one thing to reveal to ourselves. So it's so one of a kind what you're doing there.
Well, I mean, I think we're doing what we can. Like I'm doing the best to combine all the things that I've seen that work where the rubber meets the road, where you can, because like to me, results are like real results matter, not intellectual ones, because it's easy to blow this day and age too with like the infinite amount of podcasts and social media. We can all have our rabbit hole mind blow over and over again. You kind of get it 113 times a day, right? Like, oh my god, I went down this rabbit hole, my mind is blown. But did that change you, and what difference did that make on your life, right?
Yeah.
And it's like watching a workout program versus doing the workout. You get this illusion, oh yeah, I'm really growing, I'm spiritual, I'm watching all these people teach tons of esoteric or mystery school or spiritual concepts or new age stuff. it's kind of exciting, especially when you don't know about it. I mean, I'm not faulting anyone, but what we're trying to do, I wouldn't say trying, what we're doing is bringing people to the point of having direct experience. Just like Gurdjieff said, don't believe or trust anyone, verify everything for yourself. Like there's no belief required. It's just, we're going to start doing something. And then you can then judge for yourself how impactful or meaningful that is, and that's what I like about it, though, is that we're not asking someone to have an experience, which is commonly what happens. You're like, oh, imagine that you're going to have this breakthrough in your career. It's all this kind of self-inflated type stuff. And instead it's like, well, we're going to experience this right now. And you can come to the table and have that experience or not. Kind of like you can take a 9-volt battery and you ever put one on your tongue?
No.
You never done that?
No.
Oh man, has anyone in your audience done that? The 9-volt where it has the positive and negative beside. Oh my God, you've never done that? Oh man, that's an experience. like that's something that you can't prepare for. Oh, so I hope somebody's done it, so I'm not the only.
All right, okay, fess up if you're in the chat and you stuck your tongue on a 9-volt battery and had that. Oh yeah, Mike said when I was 8. Yeah, so good. Yeah, you're in good company.
That's probably a profound experience. There's a reason you didn't do it since you were 8. Right?
No doubt. Yeah. No doubt. Yeah. It's a different version of plugged in, let's say.
Yeah.
That's so fun. Yeah, it's so like one of the values that I hold pretty high is learning, being porous, not getting to a place where I already know everything and I'm just going to keep, repeating the platitudes. And so I like to have, you use the word mind blown, and maybe I'm using it a little deep. I like to have my mind changed. I like that. It can be painful at times too, because, there you can build a lot of practical reality around a certain idea. And if it turns out to be false, you might have some rearranging to do, some letting go to do, some changing. But this is very high for me. And to me, it's where the real synergy starts to happen, that there's this openness. Now, how would you describe it? It also starts to, again, sound like, democracy, where, everybody in every group stays open to some new knowledge, not just information, but like literally the willingness to see themselves in a different way or see what they see. And then, so what is the difference between this, where there would be the understanding? I'm digging into my groups here. Like, how do we create this, that there would be a sense of learning in the discussions and openness, and like, as accomplished as you are, as knowledgeable as you are, I never feel like you come to a conversation saying, I already know everything, and you can't introduce anything. So what is that? That would be,
that would be like a dangerous notion, to think that you know everything and that we become permanent students. Like, the work is never finished, right? And but I think what you're asking. So to go back to what you're saying about mind blow, I'm not saying it's good or bad to have your mind blown. I'm saying it's never been more available than it has in this day and age. Like, when I was growing up, I had to go to the library. You know what I mean? Like, maybe if I wanted to have my mind blown, I had to go figure out which book to get. You'd have to read the thing. Now you've got 100 conspiracy theorists on TikTok or Twitter, and you can immediately see stuff very quickly over and over again, different aspects, whatever it is. That's all I mean, is you can have that, but that's not transformative. That's not bad. You actually need, with the Gurdjieff teachings, for example, there are many mind blow type experiences as you've been through yourself, where you're like, oh my gosh, remember in the Gospels, it was the word repent was actually metanoia. That's what it is in Greek, fully transforming your mind, or to go beyond the mind, right? And that's what it was, so there was never a word repent as in like that it's translated in English, and that's pretty well known. But metanoia, fully transform your mind, right? the kingdom of heaven is within you. The kingdom of heaven is near. It's trying to tell you about another aspect of you that can be in fact accessed and verified and experienced, but it first requires the mind to change. So it all starts with there. Of the three sinners, it's the only one we have any agency in at all at first. It's the only one. So we have to use it to get in the Buddhist teachings, it was the little monkey on top of the elephant. Or what it's like, it's not strong, but you have some agency. You know what I mean? And so we have to get, so the synergy comes from the fact that we have three centers. What if we can activate all three of them and get them to have the same aim? Because they don't. And every human listening to me right now has had that experience of like, okay, I wake up. Oh, that's right. Intellectually, I remember I told everyone I was going to start working out at 5 a.m. every day. Aha, we need to do that. The body goes, screw you. I want to stay in bed. You know what I mean? The emotions are like, yeah, but I'm depressed and I'd rather play a video game and eat chocolate ice cream right now, right? And they all have their own agendas and they're not aligned. And so you don't get the bigger synergy until you can align them. And that takes the work, right? That's what we're doing. And but first is just become aware. So you need to have that aha moment of, oh my God, my house is not in order, right? I'm a mess. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's like many years of teaching people, like take screenwriting, for example. The first thing I had to teach them is you don't know anything about screenwriting. That's not bad. It's not bad. You know what I mean? But it's the truth. And they think, oh no, I'm talented. I got this award in high school. And you're like, yeah, you don't know anything. You know nothing. But that's okay, because we have to start there to get the house in order, right? You first have to see the house for what it is, the mess that it's in. And we all have the same messy house, but our ego is like, oh, don't tell me I'm not talented. You know what I mean? And we all have that. Like some people are, in fact, I just want to say, because this was something that really was cool about the group we're working with right now, with the group that we're doing with the End of the False Self. These aren't career actors. We're using acting work for people who didn't have this ego investment in being an actor. Maybe a couple of them had a light fantasy at different points. So like, oh, I'll be an actor, an actress, whatever. Okay. But they don't have any ego investment in it. So they're willing to get in and immediately start to get results because there's no attachment. It's not, well, I hope he thinks I'm good enough to be, on this new TV show or what. No one's got that, right? And they're not competing with each other either. They're like humbly, very childlike going in. And I think the results are speaking for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I was just going to speak a little bit to that, the faculty, the one that we have some agency over before learning to synergize among them. And that's exactly the appeal to the deprogramming work is always going to be, it doesn't matter if somebody comes in their head and that they're overthinking and all of that kind of, because you have to start there anyway. It must be, and it's about discriminating. Like, what are you observing right now compared to what you think you're observing?
Yeah.
And in this moment, you have to come every single time new to the work. And if you don't, then you can't do the work because it won't be in this present moment. That you literally, the unconscious means the unconscious. You're approaching it like you've never seen it before. You've never seen a program. The hard part is that because they're so orderly in their nature, then they are, they become to the mind predictable. So that's when you need to, like, you use the mind to have that discrimination, but it can't keep going on that road.
It's not enough. It's only the starting point. Yeah,
exactly.
And that's the point. Is at first it's all intellectual. It's like, okay, you're getting concepts, formatory knowledge, but it has to become experiential, and it has to go to the realm of understanding, which is going to require all three centers eventually to understand something. And normally we don't even have, like, we're not you. It's as simple as, it's kind of like this. You're not beating your heart. Is that important to you? I would say it's kind of a big deal.
A little bit.
Yeah. But are you consciously, do you have any involvement in it at all? No.
No.
Right? And your metabolism, the whole autonomic system. So this is an entire aspect. And they know this in like the hard sciences, like in neurobiology, there's 3 brains: human, mammalian, reptilian, right?
Okay.
you have, the limbic system and the autonomic system, right?
The
And
lizard brain they talk about.
yeah. So that's well established in biology. And the thing is, they aren't of one mind. But can they become centered? This is exactly the going into these ancient teachings. Like, there are, in fact, three distinct seats of consciousness. Can they overlap to become synergistic and form a union? Yes. And that's what expands you into the higher self. That's exactly what it is. But it has to start up here. We're having a conversation. We're using the intellect, right? Like, but there's so much more that gets built on top of that. But at first, it starts with just intellect. Yeah.
I remember Gurdjieff also talking about how the wrong center would end up doing, like, the emotional center would be in that intellectual role, or the emotions would be trying to take over some instinctual kind of work and stuff like that.
Wrong use of centers. That's right. Yeah, that's right. And we're all miscalibrated that way. We just don't see it yet. That's the whole idea of, like, the carriage. It's in shambles. You didn't know it. The whole thing is a mess. Your house is in disarray. It's not bad. We can't exist in this reality without falling into the mechanicalness, into personality. By the time you're 7 years old, the essence doesn't even grow anymore, and it can't. Essence can't grow until you can bring the consciousness back to it, and it can use your personality as a food source. It consumes that and then can grow again. That's what it is to be born again. Being born again a second time. Yeah. So that's where, but you can't get there purely with intellect. It's just the starting point. But that's how we first come to the work, is through the intellect.
Right. Nice. There's a metaphor of a dinner party. I'm thinking, come over and eat my personalities. There you go. Oh, yeah. And JJ Hemcree Bear also tested the 9-volt battery. Good. Thank you for fessing up about that. And Elisa said, not sure if Bear's ready for LYL. I know. And LYL is continuously evolving by the second too. So in a way, I've been a little more quiet and humbled by the latest developments in that world. Interesting, just as an example, the LYL community has a lot of synergy. And there is this common aim that people want to be better. They have been humbled. They realized their house was completely in disarray.
Yeah.
And came out of the denial of that.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I need to learn. I need to do something differently that works. So then I notice the way that people are working with Garrett right now, even in the process of completely new developments that could actually have been the catalyst for people to, like, oh, I'm out of here, or something like that, right? It's a big subject. You guys can obviously just go and check out. I don't mean to be cryptic about it. You can go and check out his latest 4 and 5 live streams, I guess, are all on the topic of nickel toxicity. But I'm watching people work together around him. And I remember texting you one night and just saying, like, there is a synergy here that's unique. That our willingness to not be his guinea pigs, but to be the experiment, the wholeness of the experiment, how every day I'm hearing someone come forward like, oh yeah, I did this and I got this result. And they know they're contributing to the data for everybody's purpose in the future that might come to this more easily then we're just like stumbling in the dark in a way, and suffering maybe more than people might have to, which is always the hope. You could reduce the suffering for those that come later.
Yeah. And with the LYL, they're all aligned with the same person's direction. So it's kind of like following that methodology. They have the same common thing, but it's also with the same guidance and agreeing to that. Like
right.
Yeah. And that then can create that kind of synergistic relationship
And do you think synergy requires the leadership then? Is that a necessary ingredient?
Well, hierarchy is also a part of nature. There's always hierarchy in nature. It doesn't make it bad. When there's like arbitrary leadership, and then there's like earned or natural leadership. Anyone who's ever like worked with, like for example, there are people that if everybody had to accomplish something at a random 20 people together, there are going to be a couple people that are probably natural leaders that people would gravitate towards, like realizing, oh, this person's really good at arbitrating and getting us all together. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there was always in all every like esoteric type teaching or group that I know of, there's some kind of leadership. But that can easily become corrupted. There's nothing that can become corrupted faster than a leader, because the leader then has power. And the trick with being a good leader is to not use your power. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the problem, is once people start wielding that power immediately, it's like the power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So this is why so many, and this too, like so many of the Eastern schools that came over to the West, a lot of yogis or Hindi stuff, they turned into crazy cult leaders that were like sexually abusing people and robbing them and doing all kinds of horrible things, because the power is corruptive. And if you give into it at all, it really does. And that's a thing in human psychology. It's like we have to, if we're capable of generating power, we have to be very diligent about when we show it or use it. It needs to be very sparingly.
Exactly. The perils of power I talk about with the king archetype, and how they have to really find their place in that. They have to have a strong relationship with where that power actually comes from, not them.
Yeah.
Not in origin.
Yeah.
And let life keep humbling them in various ways, and see through to the purpose of the whole thing. And it looks like Jillian experimented with the electric fences, just as long as we're on this theme here. And yeah, that doesn't sound like, wow.
You know what? That's a shock. That funny thing is, that's a literal shock. And I think that's where that analogy comes from. And so for all the people, I actually found where I can look at your chat now, so I can see their comments.
Oh, good.
And to all of you, I see quietly content Bear and Jillian and Mike and JJ, all of you that said that, that no one can describe that experience for you. You can kind of get the concept. It might hurt, it might be awkward, but until you've done that, licked the battery or touched or peed on the electric fence. I know people that have done that. That's a fun one. There's something about that that's verification, right? Yeah, and you realize, oh wow, that's an experience. She you haven't done it yourself. You touched what's that?
Oh, she says, I loved holding the electric fences. That's hilarious. What happens when you pee on it?
Oh, well, think about where the shock's going to go. It runs up the urine chain, so.
Oh, darn. Oh, okay.
Yes, you get that.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
I've seen people do that. It's not pretty.
That's deadly. Oh, thanks for telling me. I will never do that.
Yeah, they'll never do that, no matter how. But that's a verification. See, that's the difference. There's no belief required. Like, somebody can warn you, but at some point you can easily verify it for yourself. Just like the hot burner. Mom said, don't touch the glowing orange burner on the stove. She said not to do that. And you can get your hand a little close and go, oh, there's some heat here. That's really hot. But some kids need to fully touch it.
Yeah.
And but then they verified it, right? Then it's like, oh, and then they also verified too, indirectly, that my mother, who's kind of like the teacher, sometimes knows things that I don't know. Maybe I should listen to what she was telling me next time.
Exactly. Yeah, that shock will literally create a learning or a teaching.
Yeah.
And JJ doesn't recommend it. So it's official now. Don't do that. Do not take that information and try this at home. Yeah, that's crazy. And to me, that's a big part of synergy, is learning from other people's experiences, because we don't have time to have all the experiences.
No,
right?
No, life is short.
Life is short, and you can literally, if you take it in deeply when other people are especially suffering.
Yeah.
And you don't separate from the suffering, because you might watch somebody else pee on an electric fence, and then you'll say like, oh, they're so stupid. What's wrong with them? And that keeps you separate from, you're probably going to pee on that fence. You're probably going to, you're like guaranteed to do it. But if you sit there and you feel the pain and the intensity, and let yourself be porous to this, is another level of porosity, then you can get other people's lessons.
Well, I think it was Warren Buffett that said, "It's true we can only learn from mistakes, but there's no rule they have to be our own."
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's that whole thing. Like but again, that's where wisdom starts to come in. You start and discernment. I could trust this person to a degree. If I'm on a safari in the African savannah and that's not my home turf, I should probably listen to the guide that's lived there their whole life when they say, yeah, you might not want to hug that porcupine. You know what I mean? Like, or whatever it is. Like, don't eat this mushroom. Okay, cool. I won't. Like sometimes because life is short, and that's where you need guidance. If you really want to accelerate in life, you need to know who are the people who have been where you want to go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you need to like kind of value what they've said and what they can give you. And most people don't do that. Because if you're just doing trial and error, you're not going to get where you want to be.
That's it.
It takes too much time.
Yeah. Yeah. Was it just yesterday I was hearing or reading that we don't really inherit any, wisdom or intelligence or transformation, that we can't actually get that just because, you can be in that learning environment and learn that yourself, but you're not going to inherit it. And it gave me a little clue or insight to humanity, how there are certain things that we, that if you really truly accept guidance where it's aligned,
Mm-hmm.
then the acceleration is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? That it creates something that like Roy talking about, like, you're building on the shoulders of giants. You want that. Because otherwise then he has to start where he is, like a baby. He can't just start where somebody else left off.
Right.
And build on that. So
no, I think it's true. It's also the opposite would be like the rags to riches cycle, and like where what one generation creates, the second one sustains, and the third one destroys. It's anybody here know anyone that's a trust fund baby, right? It's the same kind of thing. Like that maybe the business acumen, the wisdom and success of the parents cannot be transferred down directly. No,
that's it.
They can give them the wealth, though. They can give them the wealth and the all of the material things, but not. Wisdom can only come through understanding, and understanding must require experience.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. What do you? Or I'll just tune again. No, turn again. Cycle pass. I like your name. Yes to the 9-volt battery. Good. We got a crowd here.
All right. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah. We're making Micah feel better here. Yeah. And anyone who has tried to save their sons and daughters the pain of these lessons knows that one well. Exactly. Yeah. I can go two ways with that too, because and maybe it's a difference between a mother and a father, or a man and a woman's, I don't have that thing like, oh, let him make that terrible mistake I'm about to see him make, and then he'll learn. I don't have that. I'm like, if I can step in and you can take from me any guidance here, then I'm game to spare the suffering, because there's no shortage of that stuff. I can't spare his suffering. I will never be successful at doing that. But if there's, but now if he rejects my lesson, he wants to go suffer, like, okay, then that's completely a different ball game. But yeah, I don't believe in like, oh yeah, it'll be a good lesson for him. To me, I don't know. I just don't like that. What do you think, Micah?
I think that's a nuanced thing. Like you're wanting to always spare their suffering to a degree. There's some level of struggle that they're going to have if they're going to have any autonomy. It's anyone to some aspect, like maybe learning.
Yes.
What's that?
100%. Like you can't.
And that's inevitable, right? Like
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do it for them. Like, when you're going to use the example of walking, that,
yeah.
I mean, you're going to be there holding their hands the whole time, and their feet are going to atrophy. You'll see very quickly you're not actually helping them,
right,
in that respect. So yeah,
but you're trying to make it to where you're like, well, I don't want my kid to lose a finger. They're like, they shouldn't be playing with this sharp knife. We don't need. And I agree with you. I think that's your discernment as the parent. Like, we're like, well, this is kind of catastrophic and unnecessary, and let's try to prevent, them touching the hot burner. I don't think they all need to do that.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't have to learn that lesson the hard way. But
yeah, you got it. And does this resonate with you, Lewis? Welcome. You're saying that we receive information from source.
I'm not sure in what context we're talking about. Like to what point was Lewis saying that?
I don't know exactly, but the idea, I guess, that I'm picking up here is that, when we receive now knowledge and information, yet love and imagination comes from far away. Is that the same as information that you're saying?
I mean, I get their point. Like far away, yeah, but it's also, remember, the kingdom of heaven is within you. Source is far away, but you're connected. So it's kind of both. Like I get what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah.
This is a second comment for anyone who can't see. Yeah. Love and imagination.
Far away meaning they're not from the material plane. No. Right. We're pulling them from somewhere else. Yeah. But we have access to them. And that's the whole, point.
Very good. And I'll just say hello to LeBrad Pass. Nice to have you here. You're like a celebrity over in the Love Your Liver world because I hear your name all the time. So welcome. I'm glad you're here. And Jillian said she raised a son who wouldn't hear don't as I will, who would hear don't as I will. Just had to hope the damage was not too severe. Yeah. It's interesting that there's such different natures. I had a kamikaze nephew like that, and oh my goodness, yeah, he was identical. If you told him don't, he was just full on doing it, and he suffered a lot from it, a lot more than my son ever did physically. Compound fracture, bones sticking out of his body, and just he became a really good adult somehow. That's lucky. But,
yeah, usually if they don't die, then they're pretty hardened and wise.
Yeah.
And you can't control that because we're born in essence, and that is unique, and no one's essence is the same. And everyone, that part is divine, and it's completely like you as a parent have no control over that whatsoever. You can only cultivate it. You're like a gardener. You're cultivating, you're not forcing the plant to grow. You can't make it grow. You can just give it the resources and guide it the best that you can, but they're all different. And I think that's the unhealthy thing, is when we think we're supposed to be controlling that or something in kids, and realize, no, that's a divine aspect. And some people are going to be way more rebellious or need to try things a hard way. Some people are going to be way more compliant, and people that have had multiple kids can always see they're completely different. Like,
Unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal. Yeah. Welcome, Learniverse. Nice to have you here. I saw you in the Love Your Liver chat the other day. And Jillian said, to be fair, there were not a lot of broken bones, and he survived to be a lovely man, now 35 and brilliant father. Amazing, right? Yeah. So what looks like chaos and weirdness and like things won't turn out, I definitely thought, oh yeah, Liam's not going to turn out good because I don't punish him, and I have tried to save him from a bunch of the unnecessary kind of harms, and he the way he used it was amazing. But another kid might have done something completely different, and who knows. So we're starting to come up towards the end of the time. Like, these conversations always go so beautifully and even quickly. But I was going to maybe end on the role of essence in synergy. How would you see that? Maybe keeping in mind groups working together.
So the actual synergy that can happen comes from the part connected to essence, which is a higher plane. So when you can actually come together in the right context, then a higher can emanate down, right? That's, 2 or 3 coming together in my name, meaning they're fully aligned. My name means I am, right? So they're coming together in the I amness, the higher consciousness. That's the kingdom of heaven. Gurdjieff would call it the conscious circle of humanity. But there's a higher plane, and then you get to bring that into this world, but only when you can align those other things correctly. And it's kind of like when a radio, if you look at all the parts in a radio, that like they don't do anything unless they're aligned in the exact right manner.
Exactly. You could have all of those ingredients and stir them up, and you're not going to get a
it was copper antenna, a crystal, the the modulator, the speaker, all you have all these things, and none of them can do what they can do together in the right conscious congruence, right?
Right, right. Yeah, it's so tricky. It's amazing that anyone can do anything these days. But yeah, so I want to say we're defying a lot of the. Yeah, I don't want to elevate it so much, but like it does feel like a defiance of. Sorry for the sirens here. It's going to come and argue with me that this. If there's an aim in the aim, it's this to be more available to essence, that those synergies happen, that growth starts to happen beyond any one person's intention.
Yeah, faith of consciousness.
Yeah, there you go.
Like it becomes a different caliber altogether, knowing it exists, and there's a certain way that we can come in contact with it, and then there's a surrender to that. It's the surrender, but you have to accept that it's first there, right? Without that, like faith is a misunderstood word. There's no faith without action. So faith is to surrender to that alignment, knowing that within that surrendering, that's when the higher can interact with the lower.
Beautiful. That's amazing. And Jackie K, always holding up the platform. That's very nice of you. Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. As always, thanks for being here. And what a beautiful conversation, Mike. I totally appreciate it. One of the things that came up in the process of offering this course was the possibility that somebody right away came and said, "Oh, please, could I take this as an online course at some point?" And so we decided at that point, if there's anybody that would have liked to be part of this that didn't already jump in, maybe you can't make the time of the class. That's good for Australians, not that great for Europeans, even though a few of them are staying up late anyway. We have made an option available for people to just sign up for the online classes and to take part, and we're getting some good feedback already about those. And then you would also, there's something big happening here. You would also get access to the Telegram group, which is where the conversation and the synergy happens between classes, and then people are, as usual, this is one of the synergies I notice in the groups around me, is that they team up themselves. They get together, they start to support each other, they create something new that I didn't even create or get to be part of necessarily. And that's such a beautiful organic thing that I wouldn't even know how to teach that or how to get people to do that, but they're doing it. So it's really amazing. So if anybody would like to still jump in, you could find me on Telegram in the King Hero chat. You can message me, Beth at bethmartins.com. You can always find Micah at Micah Ellars Micah _Ellars at hotmail.com. You can contact him directly for personal one-on-one coaching and teaching. And if you'd like to be part of our course, I can grab a link to the information, but it doesn't actually have the option for the online for some reason. I don't know. Maybe I'll install that today and be done with it, rather than make that you have to message out to me. And it is for the House of Free Will members at this point, just so you know that that's a House of Free Will members option. Let me just see quickly if I can find our link. Any closing words, Micah? If you let me search this for a second. There it is.
I see. Oh, okay. I see her message. Yeah, she's saying thank you. Yeah, you're welcome, Jillian. There's some. This is like a sideways nod at at this idea of synchronicity, but it's kind of my favorite Nietzsche quote. Are you familiar with him? Those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music.
Oh, I didn't know that was Nietzsche who said that. That's brilliant. That's very popular. Yeah.
But it's kind of like that. Like you start to realize, like, when I trust this process, we resonate with something that other people are kind of deaf to, in a way.
Right. Right. Exactly. And it's a kind of self-effulgent process. Nobody's going to be teaching you what you should be experiencing. It's a happening. And I noticed it's very potent. So yes, I'm part of this course, but I'm very much receiving what you're doing from it. And I notice like it is in a way, if I'm not misusing the word, it's a kind of objective art at the same time as being a course and a class and a place of learning. But there's something about it that all by itself is transformational to even witness.
Wow. Well, thanks. Well, and we get to synergize by mixing in the release work too, which as the things get churned up, it's a great, like it's a great opportunity for that. So that's an example of synergy right there, because there's an overlapping aim and the skills start to magnify each other.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. Well, everyone, this has been fantastic. Hold it in mind. Come say hi in the chats and we'll synergize together. If I can be part of leading that, then that would be awesome. Here is the link to the end of the false self. It's not too late to jump in. Even if you wanted to jump in with the live classes, by the way, it's not like that ship has sailed there. The two have been, there's two to come. One is tomorrow, by the way. So now is a good time to look into it. And yeah, it's really extraordinary work that I feel privileged to be part of and contribute to, and yeah, find that synergy. So
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, you're very welcome. So I'm going to play us out, and we shall see you again, Micah_Ellars at hotmail.com. If you would like to connect with him directly, feel free. Otherwise, this has been the Beth of Fresh Air episode. What are we at? 29? Yes, 29 it is. And I think that's all for today. Lots of love, you guys.
Okay.
Bye, Micah.
Oh, my true guide, Lord and supporter of all, forever free from identity. Be well, I'm dwelling in you. Be well, I am dwelling in you. Be well, I am dwelling in you. Vidrashkanu manta, Shivarta Gupta, Maheshwara, Paramatme, Ijapi Okto.